All right, so we're live. It's going to be informal. There's absolutely no regimented way to do this, but this call here is I feel, of great importance because we have got a crisis on our hands. The food supply is going to be choked back, all in the name of climate change and whatever else they. Oh, I've got background. The video is playing in the background because I was testing it. On this calls for action at the grassroots level, and I've got a plethora of ideas that can be implemented. But of course, it all depends on what the community's needs are and what is the community wanting to do. And so, on the call here today, I've got Geechee. Is that my pronouncing that correctly? Geechee.
Gitchy Gumi.
Geechee
Yeah.
Gumi?
Well, my name is Brian Lavoy.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, and
But the company you're this is your company, right?
yeah, my
Yeah.
company is Gitchy Gumi Hemp.
Yep. Awesome.
Also a bit of a nickname too.
Oh, okay. Right on.
Yeah.
So yeah, and you know what? I talked to you a couple weeks ago, very briefly on a quick conference call, and I was really intrigued at some of the solutions that you had to be able to take advantage of the opportunity in growing hemp, and help your community diversify their agriculture into what is probably a miracle crop, and we want to make sure that people get to know of the different solutions that are out there for people. When they don't know what to do, they just continue doing whatever they were doing before. And in this era, in this time that we're at, and this point in the war, it's important that these communities are equipped as much as possible. So I would love to hear, what's worked for you. Yeah, no, this is we want to we want to find out what's worked for you. What kind of challenges do you see for coming in the future? And what is it that we can do? What can communities do to be aware of opportunities for themselves, even if they've never heard of hemp before?
Well, yeah, I'm a bit of an R&D project here. I'm in just outside of Golden, BC. We have a farm here. It's called Goonieland Permaculture, and I run a small hemp operation here, greenhouse grown for CBD oil.
Hmm.
And I do some R&D with some other strains, like non-CBD oil strains, fiber, uh, long strand fiber strains, Russian strain that I've been playing with. I've got another one that I just received that should produce a stalk about 2 to 3 inches in diameter.
Mm,
So that's an interesting one. I'm just soaking some seeds right now, and those seeds
wow.
are um, they are double the size of a regular hemp seed.
Oh, wow.
I'm not allowed to say where it's from, but we're calling it the Ginger Beef Project.
Nice.
Yeah, so I've been passing some of those around and see who wants to toss some of those in the garden and just try them out and see what they can do in
Yeah.
this climate.
Hmm.
But yeah, my main operation is greenhouse hemp plants for CBD oil. I've found some good solutions in as far as like soil, uh, fertilizing with Korean natural farming techniques. Just looking at all the soil science out there, regenerative agriculture, um, and yeah, just foliar sprays and just producing the maximum amount of oil content, maximizing the genetic potential of the plant, and of course strains matter. So I source the best strains I could find and have been quite successful in producing a high grade, high producing as far as quantity and quality for a small operation. It's looking really good as of like last year's was my best crop, and my processor is very impressed with the results.
Good.
Yeah, and the people that use it
Nice.
for their remedies.
Yep.
So yeah, so that's all on the medicinal side.
Can you give a few examples of when you say remedies, what can people expect that means?
Well, I use the word remedies instead of medicinal.
Hmm.
I try not to use the word medicinal, right? Because the legal
Yeah.
stuff. So yeah, when I say remedy, it's just a natural remedy for
Yep.
people to experience homeostasis
Yep.
in the body. It's calming, relaxing. It's anti-anxiety. It helps people sleep. It helps people with numerous conditions, right? CBD is powerful stuff. It helps people get off of their medications as well.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
So,
Awesome. So one of the so you've got some good stuff going on there. Do you have partnerships within your community? Like how is it that you were able to do that? Did you all self-taught? Or some resources that you had to be able to accomplish what you've done so far?
um, well, I've got affiliates that help
Hmm.
with sourcing strains. I have friends that travel the world, and they find the best strains they can find, and we all work in the hemp industry in some way.
Yep.
Um, so I get seeds. I also get knowledge from these people. They travel from hemp farm to hemp farm.
Hmm.
They're all over the world, and so yeah, I've done a lot of study on my own. I was accepted into a government business development program
Hmm.
where they paid me to do my own business plan and do my own research, and it was classroom training and everything. I think it was about 6 months of training,
Wow. Yep.
or probably 8 months actually.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that was that was beneficial to have that support, that government funded support, and then I was on my own.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yep.
I build my own stuff. Like I built my own greenhouse. Well, I salvaged a greenhouse
Yep.
and turned it into a full blackout. I put a full blackout system on it
Mm.
because the strains I have, they're actually photosensitive, tropic. They're not autoflowers, so they need to be turned on and off to
Okay.
trigger the flowering period.
Yep.
Um, I do use some autoflowers, but those are my THC plants. That's my THC remedies
Mm.
for my own personal use. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Yep. Awesome.
So right now I am using licenses. I still have a license for hemp, but that's something that we're going to talk about and try to
Yeah.
figure out. How can we um, figure out how can we do this on a bigger scale than just me standing on my rights and status and standing in capacity to grow a plant that comes from nature
Hmm.
that I know, you know, that I have the inalienable potato right to grow that plant
Yep.
and and to give public notice and do all that work. But how do we do that as a community?
Hmm.
Because that's where we're going to start to run into some issues,
Yeah,
I
well,
think.
there's no point in anybody taking this on themselves. You just get squashed, right? But if we work together as a community of growers from various communities, now we're decentralizing that source, right? And well, two things. Number one, we're able to get the product to people faster, and then two, it actually makes it impossible for someone to say you can't do that.
Well, I feel like an individual can do it,
Hmm.
and we have Supreme Court rulings prior to the Cannabis Act. I think it was 2015 or 2016.
Yep.
There was a couple of rulings there that allowed us to use the plant for medicinal purposes, and then they rolled out the Cannabis Act.
Right.
So Supreme Court ruling prior um, does have superiority,
Hmm.
right? However, if you're still calling it medicinal, you're still in their box,
Right.
you're still in their commercial system in some way. You would need a waiver, a contract, anybody you're working with, sell to. You can't just have the public come onto your property and check out your plants and touch them and consume them without the right documentation. So that's not really a fix. That's not a permanent fix, not a
No,
solution.
no, of course not. Yeah, of course not. And then, so I mean, without going into great detail, if you don't want, are there places where people can start to learn about this kind of thing? Because a lot of people aren't even growing yet, but where can they start learning about the resources that would allow them to uh, learn about those rights? Like maybe at first they're going to have to use a license, but how do we help them work their way? What are some things that they can do to shift their paradigm towards doing it as free men and women?
Uh, yeah, there's a few websites out there. There's a few people um, that I follow. Like I mentioned to you, that I was listening to Tom Barnett out of Australia just earlier today, and
Hmm.
he's got some great stuff, and it's really resonating with me now more that I've been really involved in. I'm involved in a law society. It's called Pantera Vita
Hmm.
and Gemstone University. So I'm a full time member, and I'm it's right now it's just a side project because I'm so busy with my farm. I'm still waiting for people to come and support the farm more so I can focus more on the foundational work in building the trusts. So we're going to do everything through a private trust,
Hmm.
right? Eventually, that's the goal. Um, there's a land patent that we can do. There's foreign trust, sole corporation, sole estate, full estate structure that we'll set up, and that removes our property, which is also our body,
Hmm.
from the jurisdiction. Right. So everything is jurisdiction or
Hmm.
titles.
Hmm.
And I think most of this is equity law,
Yeah.
but it takes all of the law forms and just combines the best parts, the best components, and we create our own law form.
Mm.
So this work has already been done. It's just a matter of us getting into it and learning it, applying it. Uh, we're creating specific documents for Canada for each country. So every country has a group of people that meet every week, and we're we're very active in creating this.
Are
So,
are those meetings, are they open, or is this something that you are always doing privately?
oh no, they're strictly private.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, we're under NDA to not disclose like any documents.
Yeah.
Also, so
Are
but
there
there
are
is a
there
public
Oh, you do have a public call?
there's a public site that anybody can go to, gemstoneuniversity.org
Mhm.
or panteravita.org, and there is a ton of information on there. There's lots of videos on YouTube. You can check out Ken Cousins on YouTube, any of the podcasts or the shows that he's done there.
Yep,
There's a
okay.
lot of information. Yeah, a lot of history of law that's been laid out.
Mhm, mhm.
And yeah, this guy's been at it for about 35 years now,
Oh,
so
wow. Yeah,
he's pretty knowledgeable. Yeah,
knows his stuff.
very brilliant. Yes.
Yeah, I think pretty much anybody that's doing it for more than 5 years, they got a pretty good handle on it, but once you get up to that 10 to 15 years, automatically you become a master.
I feel like I've been at it almost 20 years now.
Yep.
I don't feel like I'm an expert or a master at it, but I started with the
Yeah, yeah.
Freeman Society, Dean Clifford,
Yeah, yeah.
and he was way ahead of his time. Like he was awesome. But yeah, then he got you know he got put away for a little
Yep.
while, and now I think he's into equity,
Mhm.
right? Like
Yep.
this is where you find your remedies in
Yes.
law. See, equity follows law.
Mhm.
However, this is the thing about that. You first, like, especially with this hemp licensing thing, we might need to try and find legal remedy first. And if legal remedy doesn't satisfy our mission responsibility to produce this plant for whatever reason we have, right? That we have according to our contract with ourselves, with our
Hmm.
creator. If it's not satisfied and or we can prove harm, then equity steps in. Equity opens at the close of the legal realm.
Hmm.
There's two realms there, and equity is always running in the background.
Right.
Like don't ever let them tell you that equity has been abolished.
Or that it doesn't apply here.
No, they're just not allowed to practice it. They
Right.
don't
Well,
teach it.
that's outside of their jurisdiction.
Uh, well, it's within the chancellor's jurisdiction.
Oh,
So
okay.
chancellor judge has the jurisdiction, and you need to access the judge's chambers,
Mm,
right? So it would be more of it's a private court. It's not public.
right.
So you got to understand the difference between public and private.
Hmm.
And they might kick you out of the private court. They might say you don't belong here. We can't see you. We don't see your rights. Your rights
Right.
are incognizable.
Hmm.
That's great. That's perfect. That's what you want. You
Yes.
go down to the clerk's desk and you get the form to, I think it's the appellant or court of appeals, or there's no form for equity, right?
Hmm.
It's just there are no molds. Equity has no molds. That's the doctrine of equity. But you can handwrite, and this is what I've heard in BC. One guy did. He handwrote, and he was told by the clerk to do this special cause on the top of the form,
Hmm.
and that's how he got into chambers, right? And that's how you access the court of equity. And you
Ah.
bring in your trust indenture, and away you go. But you better know what you're doing, right? You
Yeah. Yeah.
better
Exactly.
have all your stuff together.
Yeah. Watch out
And
for the pitfalls.
yeah, I mean, you can fail, you can make mistakes, you can apologize, you can ask, you can repent your sins if you screw up. Just don't be belligerent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's something that I really noticed was a distinction. There were some people that were remaining honorable, even in a kangaroo court, and then there were some people that just weren't. And the people that were honorable actually had less. They had less expertise. They had less knowledge, and the people that were all belligerent or. I knew one guy who told the judge that he was wrong. I've done this many times. It's like, yeah, that's not going to get you very far. It's funny to watch because it's like the people that are less knowledgeable, because they are amicable and they're looking for a peaceful resolution, they don't get all riled up. It's like it's almost like the judge helps them along because they're being nice.
Yeah, different judges that they will help you, or they might throw you. They might try and ruffle your feathers and
Yeah.
see what you're made of. They want to know if you know who you are
Hmm.
and you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what are some challenges that you see coming forward, either whether it's related to politics or climate or just mentality? Like, what are some challenges that you see coming forward, and what have you noticed can help alleviate those challenges or make them easier to get around?
Well, probably the biggest challenge we're seeing right now is lack of sunlight.
Hmm.
Not last year. Last year was great. We had lots of sun.
Hmm.
But overall, s- sunlight is um, diminishing.
Hmm.
There's been some volcanoes erupting and uh, chemtrails and
Hmm.
geoengineering. Uh, right. So it seems like that's politics, right?
Right.
And hopefully that goes away soon.
Hmm.
But is it natural? Is there a natural change happening on the planet that's going to
Right.
challenge us?
Yeah.
Right. So that's the biggest elephant in the room
Hmm.
is that change, and what does it look like? How do
Yeah.
we be ready for it? Do we need to go underground? Do we need to build more underground greenhouses and more food storage? We
Hmm.
already have um, just the latest attacks on the infrastructure,
Hmm.
the food infrastructure, the supply chain, the threats for cyber attacks that we've been warned about. Um, that could get real really fast,
Yep.
and that's the kind of stuff that happens very quickly and overnight. So just being ready for that as a community, supporting each other, building our root cellars, storages, and all that kind of stuff. And
Hmm.
but yeah, the other challenges, of course, are um, the land use bylaws, right? I've seen that in your area there in Alberta. There's been some land use bylaws that have come through that don't make any sense whatsoever.
Oh,
Like how
well, they're
many chickens you
clearly
can
not from
have,
here.
and no, well, it sounds like they were written in a foreign country
Yep.
by foreigners that live in suburban area. Like it's created for suburban
Yeah,
area, and
totally.
that's really interesting. Like why in a farm community where the
Yeah.
population is so low, what are they planning next, right?
Well, and this brings up a great point. Every war has always been about land conquest, right? So it seems to me like they feel like they've done enough conquesting to to make a move like this. Hey, let's throw this in here because we think we got them. But we noticed it. It was only I think it was only like a day or two, and it came across my email from the time that it happened to the time that I got the email. So I think what we're noticing is more and more people are starting to share. I mean, more and more people are starting to talk to each other. Um, like I was saying before the call there, it's almost like we're kind of waking up as a people, right? We're kind of waking up from a slumber, and we're just like, oh, I gotta go deal with this now. Okay, I'm ready. And the that sentiment or that feeling that I have is getting more intense. Especially over the last month or so. How many people are stepping forward? How many people are saying, "How can we help?" Lots of people are starting to ask, and that's encouraging to me. Like my emails every morning, I've got 70 to 80 emails waiting for me, and that's not spam stuff. Like that's actual people saying, what's happening. How do I connect with so and so, or whatever else. So it's happening, and especially now that we're doing the live calls, we're doing community live calls Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon, and that's going to be a huge boost. And we're already noticing it even after just two calls. Huge boost to having communities really start working together and galvanizing. Because that right there, that's another huge obstacle. It doesn't matter what's happening with the sun, doesn't matter what's happening with uh, water supply or anything like that. If we as communities can come together, we can take this nation back in like 30 days.
For sure. Yeah, we've already pushed back a little bit in our community. We attended a meeting, about 120 of us
Yep.
showed up
Good.
for an info session on land zoning
Yep.
for our rural area where we don't have any zoning, and we pushed back on that 15, 20 years ago already.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we can build as many buildings as we want on property. We can have animals, we can build
Hmm.
fence, we do pretty much anything, just as long as we abide by basic code, which is safety, and that makes sense. So I just went ahead, I went ahead and built an earthship,
Yeah.
and there's 5 earthships in this area. That's for that's a high number for a small
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
Um,
Totally.
but yeah, I applied hempcrete to this earthship. It's a hempcrete hybrid,
Wow.
and it works really well. We've been in it for 6 years now.
Oh man, that's awesome. Do you happen to have any resources that people can go online to go check out to see what that was like, or you keep that pretty private?
It's just Goonieland Permaculture,
Okay.
uh, or Goonieland.com is the website. Yeah.
Okay, let me just get that up there. Oh, that's not the one. Hide and we create a new one. How do I spell that? So Goome or MMII?
Yeah, like Goonie, like the Goonies, Goonie Adventures,
Oh,
um, Land, Goonie Land.
Goonie. Okay.
Yep.
And Goonie Land, what was it? Dot,
.com.
.com.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a little bit of info on there, and we've got all of our pork products on there. We got pigs, chickens, ducks here.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
yeah, we'll be doing more projects. Another workshop coming up in June that we're planning with Dion Lefebvre from Westlock, Eight Fire Innovations.
Okay. Yeah. Oh,
Uh,
yes, I think I remember meeting him. Yeah.
yeah, Davita Block. He has a hempcrete brick that fits into studded walls. Like it's a retrofit hempcrete block.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm just getting set up here to start making bricks
Yeah.
for our own projects. Get that workshop done in June. We're going to build what's called a hemple. It's a 10-foot diameter, octagon shaped, with like a peak yurt style roof.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna try one of those this year.
Hempel. Hemp is
Yeah, it's
it is
called a
it
hemple.
oh, obviously a play on words with temple. Is it supposed to be a more like a spiritual building, or is it going to be a dwelling, or
This one we're not 100% sure what we're gonna do with it yet. It might be like a rental B&B or something.
okay,
Keep it
yeah,
public so that we could show more people what hempcrete's about and promote our natural building school.
that is cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So we've already built a yurt here with a hempcrete floor, but it's just a standard yurt on top of a hempcrete slab.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and that is our temple. It's called Wolf Moon Temple,
yeah,
and we do plant medicine ceremonies in there. We do breath work.
yeah.
My wife is a breath work facilitator,
Oh, wonderful.
so she just started doing that.
Yeah,
She just finished her training, and sound baths and
yeah.
yeah, whatever. We've got shamans that come out, and we did 3 sessions, 4 or 5 sessions last year
Nice.
in the yurt, and we'll be doing something every week.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep, coming up
Oh,
in
that's great.
March, April.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
Very cool. Well, I'm looking forward to hitting the road again, doing my road trips all across North or Western Canada. I'll make sure to stop by this time around.
for sure. Yeah, hit us up. We might get something going in March,
Okay.
just something private with key people that want to come out, and we'll see what we could do
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Awesome.
for
Awesome.
sure.
Okay, cool. Well, I know that people are incredibly busy right now. It's everywhere I'm at. Everywhere I go right now, people are saying, "Oh my goodness, I forgot about that," or "This thing is just so busy right now." So I'm totally getting it. I think that we're going to start to see that a little bit more, and all of us, including myself, I'm going to have to be a little bit more regimented with my time management because of how busy we're getting. But I'm very, very appreciative you coming on board here today, and thank you so much for all of the guidance, the wisdom that you've got in this field. Because again, every time we can share, we know it's going to help, whether it's one person or 20 people or a thousand. This is how we get that message out there and inspire communities to rise up and actually do things on their own.
Yeah, it's good. I wouldn't miss it. Yeah, any chance I get to meet with key people like yourself, and any meetings that are happening, I'm there if I can get there.
Yep.
Nobody's as busy as me, so no excuses,
Mhm.
right? I mean, I've got a lot on the go here, but yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to talk and chat, and
Yeah, it was
yeah,
fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you so
we'll
much.
we'll keep this conversation going, and
Absolutely. I want to do it
I
regularly, actually, because again, I think that the conversation needs to occur, and we need people from all across the nation to start talking about this. So I want to do it regularly.
yeah, yeah, we have to. This is so key. It's important. The law side of stuff. If people want to check out the the maxims of equity, There's 20 of them. If you study the maxims of equity and embody them and know them, you will gain so much power in law. It's really key and fundamental.
That's awesome. I'll definitely check that out. I'm always interested in maxims. Actually a folder on my browser where I put anything that I find out about more maxims. I throw it in there. So I'll be sure to check that out and put it in there as well. Thank you again. Have a good night, and all the best to everybody who's tuning in. Thanks a lot.
Awesome. Okay, grow hemp.
Yeah. All right.